Hey, Tal, how are you doing? Are you talkable now? Talking now?
Yeah, yeah, I'm better, but honestly, I'm still a little sick, so still coughing a lot. But yeah, I won't show my face. I'm all puffy and red and scratchy. Oh, there we go. But
Ah, just demonstrating it.
yeah, but I am getting better. Thank you for asking.
So,
I was wondering.
so Tal, did your cats quarantine you?
Well, no, but cats are very sensitive animals. I think they could tell that I wasn't feeling well, and they were especially cuddly and wanting to be close to me. So they can feel that other animals are in distress.
Yeah.
Yeah, the CNF discussion in the network architecture meeting just now was very interesting. Because in ORAN discussion, some of the vendors, the major vendors, are still split internally about the pursuit of cloud native CNF, CNF versus traditional network
Yeah.
functions they have.
I have a lot to say about this, of course. I think many of you have read my my long paper about CNFs and operators, which is one way to solve some of the problems. But then asking, what would CNF vendors themselves do to make applications more cloud native? So we're not recording yet, are we? Oh, we are. Okay, so I won't say my real opinion about a specific work group, but we're it's really tough to be a vendor right now. They're hearing a lot of things that they're supposed to be doing to move they're working really hard. They have a lot of these internal roadmaps and everything. And the idea is, well, now everybody's asking them to move things to Kubernetes way of doing things. But even that is very split. There's this whole idea of the 12-factor microservices thing, which is great on paper, but I've never seen it actually being done in a useful or productive way, neither in the enterprise nor in telco. There's a mess in terms of different messages of what they're supposed to be doing. At the end of the day, they want to deliver network functions that are reliable, robust, functional, performant, and these kind of architectural decisions seem to be less important. So I'm trying to figure out ways, I think about this a lot, of how to not put all the burden on developers, but actually make the platform more welcoming to those workloads, because I think that's critical, right? Because CNFs have to be good. They have to work well. That is the first thing. The platform's goal is just to deliver them. So maybe,
well,
yeah, it can be in the middle.
Yeah. I mean, I think that the goal is, to me, the goal of Nepio anyway is, and the goal of actually bigger than Nepio, the goal of cloud-like edge compute is to enable this API-driven consumption model. So if you look at the reason, well, maybe the reason, one reason cloud is big is that cloud providers, independent, separate companies, can build out capacity without knowing what it's going to be used for yet. And then consumers who don't necessarily want to take the capital to build out that sort of level of capacity can consume it on an as-needed basis. So the idea is, let's drive that same model out to the edge from the data center. And so in order for that to work and to get the advantage of that, you can't have workloads that are so embedded to the hardware that you lose the ability to consume it in an API-driven way. So that to me is the only. So when I hear cloud native network functions, to me that really isn't. It's really about making it API consumable. I mean, yes, all the other pieces are super cool too. and are additional benefits you can get when you have sort of fungible hardware that you can move things around and you can handle failures differently and things like that. But the most fundamental thing is this API-driven consumption, you know, and so in that sense, I guess I agree with you that the platform needs to be able to do that, which is the whole first pillar of Nephi of like Kubernetes everywhere, being able to use a Kubernetes API without any out-of-band configuration platforms. So I guess I talked myself around into agreeing with your statement.
I think the other thing vendors have to deal with too, right? It's Kubernetes this week, right? These vendors have played this game a long time,
Right.
and they can look at, you know, they're going to have to exist, and you know, even if Kubernetes goes daisies up tomorrow, I don't think it will,
Yeah.
but just in case. And so they have to figure out where they're going to spend their resources, and they're going to spend those appropriately. Back to the points that you talked about, the idiots that they really care about, right? Stability, performance, those things. They're going to focus on those, and they're going to say, oh, how can I do minimal work to support these other kind of deployment environments?
Yeah,
You know,
that's a good point.
in speaking from a vendor to the vendor perspective, you know, the semiconductor companies are getting feedback that, you know, from the Ericsson, the Nokia, and Samsung of the world, that yeah, it's nice that it's Kubernetes and ORAN and, you know, CNF, but internally those companies have very strong factions who are pushing back and say those are fads, right? And the market, the revenue stream, the majority of their revenues are still the traditional RAN, the traditional vRAN, right? And I'm just, you know, having gone through that exercise recently, I'm just curious as to maybe we can get, right now, I know we have Nokia in the group, but maybe we can get Ericsson and Samsung to show up and share some of their perspective. I don't know if that's even worthwhile. I'll shut up now and get back to SIG release. But
Yeah, it
Just
is
one other
worth-
comment. Ericsson was part of,
We're off topic.
pretty sure. Sorry, go ahead, John, please. No, I just
Oh,
wanted
no,
to-
no.
Oh, sorry, go ahead.
Go ahead. Talk.
Okay, who
Well,
wants to
I'll
go?
add one more comment. So it's, yeah, I know we should talk about other things, but you know, everybody here is right. I just want to give an example of what I mean that is very, I think, illuminating. So, you know, one of the big things about Kubernetes that everything is supposed to be stateless, right? Pods are easy to destroy and rebuild. And the whole idea of microservices is the idea of make them stateless, and then you don't have problems. Of course, the problem is that a lot of what we do is stateful. And an example of this is, a good example, I think, is what the KubeVirt project did, right? So KubeVirt is about running KVM virtual machines in Kubernetes. And you could say, okay, that's easy. You just, well, start a virtual machine instead of a container, and you do the plumbing of the container networking so you can kind of emulate that for the virtual machine. That's a solvable thing. But what's really interesting about KubeVirt is that they added all the stateful management for virtual machines, because that's where virtual machines are very useful, where you can migrate a virtual machine with its RAM in its current state to another machine, right? And that's the kind of stuff that network function vendors would do all the time in OpenStack and rely upon that for doing, for example, upgrades, scalability, downgrades, healing without losing connections. So it's an example that you can do things in a declarative way with state and everything like that, and you don't have to embrace this new religion, cloud native religion that sometimes looks like very extreme. Anyway, I'll shut up now. I think we do have other things to talk about. Sorry.
Okay, why don't we let our SIG release folks take over?
Stephen?
We can't hear you. We cannot hear you. Yeah, I had to use the I had to use the phone. I don't know. It's weird.
Yeah, even your voice is feeble, John.
I
Hi,
see
John.
Tina and
Yeah, I'm here.
Stephen unmuted, but I don't hear. Oh, yeah.
No,
go ahead.
I'm talking. Can you hear me?
Yes.
Yes.
Oh, okay,
Yeah.
perfect. I like your outfit, the costume, John. Yeah, I am Addison, the cheerleading lead, zombie today to match you. Yeah, so in the last TSC call, we tried to get the attention from the Kurt. So because Stephen said, Stephen, can you hear us? You wanna grab Kurt to respond to our request to Next Foundation team for the SIG release, right? Let me see. Stephen said, okay, oh, he will log him back. So we discussed, so the Edge can actually is already offered the resources to nephew, and we can get it. And regarding the other like process, how to do the release management. So in the Edge experience, it was the community contribution. There's no release manager from Next Foundation. But if Kurt wanted to be the release manager, that's okay. But usually we provide a roadmap. Like we defined for this release, for example, 6 months time frame, and there will be milestones, like 3 milestones. The first one, the definition scope, who's willing to participate in this release, from which features, which models, and sign up there. Then we have the internal integration validation, and also more like a system testing, and then the review from the TSC based on some certain criteria. And we to make the criteria from the CI/CD point of view, security point of view, sometimes the API point of view, there will be a criteria list. We ask the code submitter to areas and present in the TSC. Yeah, that's the thought process I want to share with everyone. Let's see whether Stephen has already. Not yet. Okay. Yeah. I'll pass here to see any questions.
So I guess I'll just say first, I don't think that Bert is going to be able to be the release manager. Like, he has many other projects, and that's definitely more of a lift, I think, than we can expect from Linux Foundation. So that will need to be community steps up to do all of the work, really. But otherwise, I mean, sure, that sounds reasonable. You know, we have kind of a lot of, we're just sort of rushing headlong ahead to try to get something out early next year. We have 2 kind of deadlines, I think, in mind. The biggest one from a community point of view is that Google's funding for the community runs out, I think, in April-ish. So we really want to be in a solid position to convince participants in the community to pony up some contribution to the NAFIO project. And so I know there's concern among TSC members that, you know, we need to have some sort of release in that time frame. The other thing is, I know some folks were talking about Mobile World Congress, Mobile World Congress or something, and obviously we wouldn't have a 1.0 release by then. But if there's something more than what we have in November, I mean, it's tough though. Like, this is the holidays, and we're starting to get things rolling now with the workshop coming up, but it's still, you know, it's still a lot to figure out. Anyway, those are my thoughts.
Hello? Hello?
There
Yes,
we go.
Stephen, we can hear you now.
Yeah.
Stephen, yes, we can hear you. If you
Hello.
want to talk to
We heard you briefly.
switched over from my personal window to the Google window. So this is on the Google window now, and that seems to work. It's interesting. They're all Chrome.
Yeah. Okay. Yes, we can see you now as well.
Okay. Okay. So I guess this is this is the SIG release meeting for October 31st, 2022. Okay. The agenda items are very simple. Let me see here. Oh, this is Zoom, so I can only share windows anyway. And then only share the screen anyway. So it's okay. Where share. Oh, there. Does it work on the screen sharing?
Yes.
Can you guys see the? Okay.
Yes.
So the only thing I want to announce, I guess, is Sandeep's not being here, but then I created an Ethio PLC's repo because I wanted to very quickly park my code onto that repo, and that worked. So anyone is welcome to post pull requests off of that repo, as long as it has something to do with Nethio. But for now, we are all going to do our workshop pieces on top of that repo. That would be a little easier for integrations. And then, yeah, that's the only announcement I really have for this. And then, so Bala and
Can I have a question?
Go ahead.
Can I have a question on this? Actually, I was able to deploy, by the way, the management side, but one question I had. There is a first controller who is pushing the repos to the management repo, right? To the deployment controller. Is there supposed to be, there is the test catalog, I think, and then is there supposed to be a process to test from the management or the test catalog repo back into the management cluster such that the other two controllers run? Or is that not supposed to be the case?
So this is more runtime individual thing. So Porch. So when you register your repo with Porch, you should be able to encode Chrome packages and have Porch push it to the catalog or deployment repo.
Yeah, that happens. But what I'm trying to say is that in your explanation that was on the README, there is.
Oh, okay.
What I saw is that, I mean, the first step, you basically push it back to the management repo, but I think what you then have to do, you have to approve, plus you have to manage, set up config sync so that it takes the information and maps it.
Yeah, so if you want to deploy something, if you want to deploy something onto the edge cluster or the workload cluster, the workload cluster.
The management.
So currently my PLC doesn't have a config sync running on management. Actually, neither does John. That's why we kind of follow through with.
Because you apply the sample config all 4 or 5.
That's right. I applied it.
Okay, I see. Yeah.
So you can do that for testing, but then for the real thing, I was hoping that we will use the conditions pieces that would then the controllers would be polling for the conditions of the package, such that if one of the condition is I need an IP address block, then your controller polling that conditions would be automatically coming up and saying that for this package, let's allocate some IP address for them. Yeah. But John just dropped, I guess. But then we were hoping that the condition work that the Porch team just checked in would be able to resolve that problem would make it a lot easier for us to do this. So we don't really need to. Well, I mean, so there are cases where we need real deployment. So the idea is you would have to apply an object directly onto the management clusters, and the management clusters Kubernetes API server would have to consume that resource. But then that doesn't make it, well, in a way, technically it doesn't make any sense, because the things that I did anyway on a management cluster on a POC doesn't really affect the management cluster per se. So it's kind of strange to have SCDs and Kubernetes managing something that doesn't affect the cluster's configurations. So it's a little, and then because your storage is already backed by Gig, so you should be able to, if we can somehow monitor package states and just read the data directly off of Gig, that would probably be a little more logical on the workflow. Go ahead, Tao. I guess this isn't SIG release stuff, but then we were just talking. Sorry.
No, I was just asking the question because I did the thing, and what was unclear to me is that I think you described in the README. I'll make a comment on the README. You described the first two.
Yeah, I mean, no. So the applying thing is obviously things that are missing. So by the time we hit the November, we shouldn't be applying any resources by hand. So we should somehow able to automatically resolve things as it goes. But then we'll.
It was not clear to It was unclear to me what was the step.
Yeah, the README right now is basically just take the code and execute it so that you would be able to do what I did on the demo. But then from now till the workshop, we will have to do a better job, obviously, on pushing the config forward. Go ahead, Tom.
Sorry.
Yeah.
But yeah, just to take one step back, I'd like to request a change in the structure. So I know you put everything under one repo. I have 4 different POCs I'd like to contribute, but they are really designed to work within their own repo. There are things having to do with going and how it works. So I wonder if we can change it into an organization in GitHub rather than a single repo. Also, there's a new feature in GitHub called projects, which seems very interesting. I have not really experimented with it, but I think it's designed to do something like this.
Yeah,
but I don't really know.
Because just a pull request, you wouldn't be able to pull request to create a repo. So I don't know how we can create a repo for
yeah, well, we would need permissions for the organization, right? So rather than a pull request, so people can just create their own repo. But another approach is we could potentially have sub repos, right? Git allows you to do like repo links.
Okay.
But that adds annoying complexity because when you pull it, you have to pull it with the sub repos. It requires some special effort to work with them. So I
think I tried that before when I did sub repos off of like the action repos. Like there's a deployment repo with other repos off of that. Yeah, but then so the thing I did last time was you have to actually manually also pull the sub repos directly. So I don't know when anything has changed since then. But then, so right now, if you pull the parent repo, everything gets pulled.
Now, are you suggesting a new organization for POCs, or can you just put them at the top level of Nephew project?
I think we can put them at the top level and maybe prefix them all with POC dash, something like that. So just find a convention that makes it clear.
There's an implication here that all these POCs are Nephew only. Are there situations where people have done POC code which may apply to Nephew, but they don't necessarily want them in the Nephew repo yet? And so we need a way to reference repos that are outside Nephew.
Yeah, so what you can do, and what I'm actually planning to do, is just do a Git mirror. So you can mirror a repository from elsewhere in GitHub, and it will be in 2 places, so they're identical otherwise.
Why don't we just add a README and say related POCs and just list them there and point to them? Well, I don't know why we don't need them in our repo.
I mean, we have dependencies on Porch repo anyway, and then we don't mirror that onto Nephew. So
yeah,
I mean,
I'm kind of behind that README idea for at least some of them. For things that aren't wholly owned by Nephew, have a README in point.
Yes. So I can create an empty README and then you guys can put something point to it on that. But then the POC as a organization, that's an interesting thing to look at, I guess.
Yeah,
That's
you know,
a little
it-
bit of a pain actually, because you have to
organization.
set up Linux Foundation to have access to the
Oh.
org, and it's just kind of a hassle. Like,
Oh,
well, I think they had to set it up for me. Like well, I created it, but then I had to like hand it over to them. There's just bureaucracy involved in creating an organization
I
that
see.
doesn't exist.
it's
in-
not
Yeah.
an automated
Basically.
process. It involves human, basically.
Yeah, you know, I think the README idea could be good. It's well, there's a matter of perception here too for people going into the Nefio org. What are they going to see? Yeah, they could click there and just see a README with links to everything. That could
I
be-
mean, yeah, the downside would be, of course, someone could link in their README and it could go away in a day, right? And you have a dead link. That would be the major downside to it.
Mhm.
it's also harder to I guess to browse. You know, it's a different style. I'm you know, I'm thinking out loud here, but I kind of like my idea from before with having all the POCs having a POC header just to the name, a prefix, so it's clear that very clear that they're POCs. But it makes the whole project look fuller, like more contributions, more work. And yeah, as for, you know, if people want to have something linked but don't feel that they want to contribute it, well, then it's not a POC for Nefio, right? It's an external project, so it shouldn't even be in the README link. I think a README could be nice to have references and ideas of projects related or sources of inspiration. But if they're not submitted to Nefio as a POC, well, they're not part of Nefio, and that's okay.
Yeah, if you just
Are we going to
linking-
allow POCs in Nefio that have? Well, I mean, we do it with the package or application anyway, right? So it's possible that the POCs in Nefio are essentially example applications, if you will, which would represent a use of a package that's elsewhere.
Yeah, and of course we have upstream packages too, right? I mean, we have there's going to be lots of connections, but like the main thing is what are we building as Nefio, and if it's a POC, it doesn't really matter. But what matters is when it actually becomes part of Nefio, that it's in the Nefio org, if it's going to be not an upstream project, right? If it's not a dependency, it needs to be part of Nefio. If it's, you know, or, you know, but I think for POCs, it doesn't. To me, it doesn't matter unless if they're built specifically as a POC for Nefio, sure. But like otherwise, I don't. Like you said, related projects. Somebody said that.
Yeah. Yeah. By the time it hits the actual official Nefio release, then these becomes dependencies, and we have to track them. If it's in POC, I mean, we don't want POC to be broken, but then if it's broken, and then we find out it's broken, we probably remove it at that point.
So Tal, you said that your projects cannot fit into this existing structure that Stephen laid out?
No, they won't work as subdirectories in a Git repo. I think a lot of Go projects won't, just by the nature of how Go works. But
I think with Go mod, you should be able to do it actually, right? You just have to. There is a way to do it now. You can do that now.
Yeah, it's just awkward. But I don't know. I think the README idea is not too bad either. If it's just you know, if the text makes it clear, here are all the POCs. Some of them are in this repo, some of them are external, something like that. That might work. And have a list, maybe alphabetical, just to make sure that nothing is prioritized in any way. And every project will have a link plus a paragraph explaining what it is, how it relates to Nefio, and what is the concept that it's trying to prove. Something like that.
Yeah.
Does that make sense?
Yeah, we can have a README on the POCs directory, the POCs repo, and then,
Yeah,
and then you can create a subdirectory of your of something, another README that links to the outside, and then telling people how to install this. And basically that README under subdirectory would be, yeah, would be telling people if you want to recreate that PLC, even though it's an external repo to fetch the code. This is the installation manual, basically, to do it.
I think we should do both. So we have a README, first of all, that lists all our POCs. So that would be just a great place to look and see what is the work being done on POCs in FEA right now. And they would, each of them would have a link to a subdirectory. And in that subdirectory, they can either have code or just a README, which tells you what to do. I think that's great.
Okay.
But I do think that the main page should not only be a list, but really have a short paragraph explaining what these POCs are. So people would know, you know, you don't have to click on everything to learn it.
Yeah.
That sound good?
Yeah, that sounds good. But just wanted to, yeah, I think that sounds good to me. I mean, that serves both the purpose. You have a high level view, and then you have an internal directory view, whether it could have code or pointers to an external repo. That's fine. I just wanted to understand, John was saying about you could make it work with subdirectories. I just wanted to understand that point. Maybe just a minute, John. After that, we can talk to different.
Yeah, so Go no longer requires you, you should be able to just, in your Go mod file, you just say the name of your module, and then it basically treats that as the root for that module. Let me see. And that should work then, even if you have multiple Go projects within a directory.
It does work, right? It gets a little tricky because there's also a convention for specifying versions, right? So you can have, say, /v2, which is a subdirectory. You're right, it does work, but from experience, it is a little awkward. Anyway, whoever wants to do that can try. If not, just link to another repo and put a README in place. I think that would be good enough.
Yeah.
I mean, eventually we have to solve this problem when we get to the real Nethio pieces. But
right, we kind of discussed that as the option of one repo or many for Nethio. I'm still in favor of many because, well, we can get back to that discussion, or we can postpone it until we actually get to the point where we're contributing real code.
Okay. Bala, did I cut you off? Go ahead.
Sorry, Steve. Yeah, I mean, you asked me.
Oh, did I cut you off because you were talking?
No, it's okay. Okay, but anyway, since you asked me, one of the action items from the previous call, Stephen, you gave me was to that I create that documentation about the processes and project structure. About I created a small doc. I think I can link here. I can also.
Yeah, you were linking on the.
I also put the link in the SIG release. Basically, I just wanted to dig through the Kubernetes processes and then put pointers to it rather than reinventing our own stuff, because it's it's very similar, and also a lot of the developers could also feel native if you just follow the same conventions and stuff, whether it comes to code styles or branching or release artifacts, or even some of the processes that the contributors need to follow, that as they need to sign up some community. What is it? Community license? I'm forgetting the terms here. So all those things are linked in the document. And I also put the notes of how we could use the GitHub for our case. For example, the labels, the projects that Tal was mentioning, how we want to create the Kanban board, what kind of labels that we should be using, things like that. I put some opinionated things there, but essentially what I'm suggesting is that we follow the same process as what we are doing in other related projects, and also make some changes where it's needed, especially when it comes to labels and stuff. Obviously, labels and milestones, project management, there are some changes because we are not as big as K8s at this point of time. We don't need as many labels. We can take the themes of labels. For example, they have labels for kind, labels for SIGs, things like that. We can take those themes and adapt to our needs. That's what I'm suggesting in this document at the high level. And I also put the pointers and screenshots of existing stuff, how it compares to us, things like that.
All right. Thank you. So I guess it would be nice if folks can take a look and comment on the doc.
Yeah, I really appreciate that. And then, this also
and-
talks about the contributors that the etiquettes and some of the legal things that the contributors have to do, such as signing up that license agreement or community license agreement, things like that. It lists everything. And it has all the links to I digged up the Kubernetes projects, also put the links there. It's all in one place now.
Thank you.
Yeah. So bringing up the CLA. So what are we doing about it? We need to kind of push the CSC to push them to do something about it, because I know that that's potentially an issue for people right now.
Yes.
Being able to contribute.
Yeah, I don't know if we want to wait until the next meeting. It's not until next week. And it seems like a pretty long away.
Yeah, I think we need to follow up with the TSC and with Kurt and just say, can we get? I don't know what
get
the
them
process is.
email voting. Yeah.
On the TSC, like, can somebody propose it? And I think somebody on the TSC probably has to propose it, and somebody has to second it, and then they have to vote. They can vote by email. They don't have to vote in the meeting. So, like, we should move it along as quickly as we can, and then we can just put that in place.
Yes.
So John, is the question, should we do the CLA or not? Or
So we have to do it, I think.
yeah, that's what my understanding is. We have to do it, right?
Yeah.
Yeah, for
It's
me,
just whether-
for us, for Nokia, I'm busy with this IPAM stuff, right? Which is actually almost ready for consumption. Actually, it is ready for consumption with some minor things that we need to discuss. But yeah, some people in Nokia want us to get the CLA in place. So there is a bit of urgency. If you
Yeah.
can speed it up, because it will help everyone, I think, at the end of the day.
Why don't I ping comment on this and just say, hey, can you put this forward on the yeah.
Go ahead, David.
I'll follow up on that.
Yeah, I guess the question is, can this, yeah, I guess you just respond yes. If we can make this the same as existing Linux Foundation CLA that many companies are already signed, it'd be easier if we don't add anything onto it.
Right.
Yeah.
Or just fall under it.
Yes.
Yeah, that's also a proposal here, not to change much. That's why they should feel native. It should be easier. Also, I think. So, John, do you see any issues with that one? Like any changes at all? No, right? It will be standard one.
I mean, I don't see any reason to change anything. Like, let's take the standard CLA and go for it.
So, I don't know whether anybody will read it other than the lawyers.
Yeah, exactly.
They will read it, I can tell you that. But it should be okay.
Hey, Wim, your audio is a little bit off as well, you know.
Is it better?
Is it just me or others too? Are you hearing Wim properly?
He sounds muffled.
It's really hard to understand it. Yeah.
Okay.
David I think you had your hand raised for some time. David, if you want to go ahead.
It was already answered. Thank you.
Yeah. So I asked Dave to talk just earlier.
Thanks. Thank you.
Okay, yeah, the CLA thing. Yeah, so let's hopefully Camden can get that going quickly. Okay.
Hi, I just wanted to say, going back to what we talked about before about the POC repo, I'll take as an action item to write that initial README and submit a pull request soon.
Oh yeah, cool.
So you'll get it after this meeting.
Okay, thank you. Okay. Anything else from anyone? All right.
Since
Thank
we
you.
have some time, if you don't mind,
Uh-huh.
if it's not release related, is it okay, Stephen? If I
Yeah,
ask?
go ahead.
Yeah, since Jan and Tal are here. So in our, I was just looking at the agenda for our nephew meeting in Seattle. There is no birds of feather for automation. Is that right? Or did I read it wrong?
So that's kind of the workshop is kind of taking that up, but I think that that's probably not sufficient. Like
Yes. Yes, workshop, I'm pretty sure a lot of, yeah, it will be a little bit chaotic. I'm pretty sure.
yeah, we're not going to get to discuss anything. We're just going to be stepping
Right.
through things like that's. So how do we meet to make progress? Just big automation. I mean, maybe we can. It's a great question. I don't know. We're all going to be busy, and we can sneak off during the keynotes and just find a space and talk.
Yeah, discuss it over beer during dinner.
Oh, we can. Oh, don't put that on recording, but skip the keynote and
I
just
know,
talk.
you're
Out.
right. Arpit's gonna come and beat me up.
So Stephen, there is no way to stop this recording until the meeting starts?
No, it's not. It's not controlled by us. Sorry.
Oh man, they have.
The big brother is.
Yeah,
watching over.
Foundation Zoom call.
You can jump onto the Gmeet.
Yeah. No, but seriously, yeah. So I think that's a great point. Let's try to figure out. Yeah, let's maybe look at the calendar and try and make some proposals for additional meeting times. If people are going to be there, it seems like it'd be really valuable to take advantage of the time as much as possible, even if it means SIG automation people are skipping out on some other part. And going and talking about, how we want to move forward. And we're going to need to do a lot.
The day before, though. Yeah, if the folks are there the day before, it's actually quite empty, right? After our talk, we don't have anything to do.
That's true. We
Some
can
of us
just
are going to be there on 16th. I mean, the Tuesday you're talking, right? You're talking about Tuesday?
Tuesday.
Yeah. So you guys are going to be there on Tuesday?
Yeah, we'll be there on Tuesday.
Okay.
Cool. Yeah. I mean, there's something we can talk about during the SIG 2 meeting this Wednesday, but yeah.
Yeah. Cool. I think we'll also be there. At least 3 of us from Red Hat will be there.
Mm-hmm.
So,
well, since we won't have SIG meetings probably that week, we might have them just face to face there. It could be
no keynote.
All right, no then.
yeah, that's the challenge. I just looked at the thing; it's jam packed until dinner. So we'll see whether how we had to do something. We'll figure out. I just wanted to bring it to the notice here so that we can start thinking about it.
Yeah, no, that's a great point. That's a great point. We should definitely try to arrange some more time. I actually get in Monday night, but anyway, yeah, let's look at the calendar. Let's maybe talk about it on Wednesday, and maybe send some proposals out before then.
Yeah, makes sense.
FYI, we are going to be in the conference hotel, the Grand, that's Sheraton Grand. Is that where you guys are going to be too?
Yeah, so I'll be at the same hotel. I'll be at the main hotel with yeah. I got a room there. I don't know, Stephen, if that's the same place if you booked yours yet.
I'm not exactly at the venue, but then not that far away. Something like 0.5 miles away. It's not that big of a deal. Yeah.
All I want to know is when is the drinking session?
I think that's Wednesday night.
It's 5 a.m.
David, no, I don't think that conference does, but I'm not sure. But I know that Kanban wants to organize at least a Zoom live stream of the room, but it's not official. It's more like, hey, put that laptop over there.
Yeah, nothing like a little under the cover, under the table monitoring.
It'll
Okay.
probably be a Google
Exactly.
Meet.
I'm recording again saying that. Oh no.
No, my question right
Yeah,
now
you forgot
is,
this is being recorded. Now it's blown. I tell you.
Well,
my
it would be
question
an
is,
opportunity for Nefio competitors to do espionage there.
we have
Right, yeah.
competitors?
I
The open source project. All the meetings are on YouTube. You know.
Once we have a working nephew, we'll have computers. Yes.
No, my problem right now is I'm registering, but I'm on the wait list for the workshop. So I'm not so sure if I should complete my registration or just skip the whole thing and go virtual.
Hmm.
This-
That is a point.
I have,
I've seen that too with the workshop fully booked.
I'm on the wait list.
Yeah.
I register for the wait
So,
list.
so I think Sunny clarified that. So as we expected, they didn't actually add the quota from 50 to 90. They just say that we have more room, and then so anything after that. So still, I think right now the quota is 50. That's the reason why all of you guys are on wait list. I know. As I told you last week, I never believed that
That's
the
a
moment
smart
they
thing.
said they're adding a quota in 1 hour, we all filled up already. That
Yeah, that's
sounds
what
incredible.
I
So
thought.
yeah. So
I thought they were
It'll-
only saying that they're going to add, make it 90 member, but they never said that they're going to increase from 50 to 90 in the tool. So I think we are good. Some of us who are waitlisted
Yes.
and who have actually told her, I think we'll be good.
And let's be honest, a lot of people will be no-shows.
that is true too, probably. Yeah.
Sure.
It's a free event, so a lot of folks probably won't.
Did
go.
they find a bigger space or something?
No, I think the
'cause I was-
capacity of the room is actually 90. That's why Kirk said 90 would be fine. Up to 90 would be okay.
This
I know what
is
the
what
hell.
you charge
They do 50 when they say the room is 90. I was like, what the hell?
This is why you charge a nominal fee to just limit the no-shows, right? You charge $50 to a pop, and then people might actually show up if they sign up.
Yeah.
Yeah,
They're
because
less likely to sign.
yeah, I have reserved a hotel room at the same venue, and I'm about to buy tickets and all that. So I just want to make sure I can get in instead of showing up and then just standing outside.
Yeah.
I
I'm
can
pretty sure.
Yeah,
Oh, go ahead.
I said I would
I was gonna
smuggle.
just- yeah, that's true. We can all just sneak you in, right?
Tal, go
Um,
ahead. Oh, John, sorry. I'm very confused. I'll shut up.
Go ahead, Tal.
I have nothing meaningful to contribute.
I was just gonna say, reach out to Sunny or Kurt. I don't know if you know Sunny.
Yeah.
From Linux Foundation. But Kurt is on the Slack. And just say, hey, and I think Sunny might be too. I just want to make sure that because you heard it was increased to 90 or something. I don't know. I wasn't at any of the meetings last week because I was at KubeCon and I was just kind of busy. But
They weren't. So there was a question posted on Slack, and then they both immediately responded. So we just kind of assumed that was the case.
okay.
Yeah.
Okay. I'll reach out again
Alright.
and see if I can be.
I mean, Kirk obviously was in TSC, but I actually missed the TSC meeting. It wasn't on my calendar. I completely forgot about it. but I don't know if anyone asked that question during the TSC meeting.
No, but I
when
did
I
give some
asked.
feedback
But
on
generally, I put a note to Sunny that you have to make sure that I not told her how, but what I requested is we have to somehow make sure the core contributors are the core potential contributors should be prioritized. I don't know how they could do that. Actually, they can simply take a poll in Slack, how many of us are coming, and then prioritize us, and then they have all the emails of the folks that have registered. Then they can email them those that who are beyond 90, who are non-core contributors, non-potential core contributors. Then beyond 90, they can just send them a waitlisted email or something. They could do that, but I didn't say any of that. But I just requested her that to make sure that the core members are prioritized if there is overflow.
Okay.
Yeah, I saw your post to Sunny, but she hasn't responded yet.
Yeah.
So
Hey, folks,
since I'm
sorry,
using
I
my
need to
own
drop.
money to, sorry. Since I'm using my
Oh,
own
no, I
money
just-
to come up. So
Bye, John.
Yeah, you definitely don't want to blow that. I do have to drop up because I have a parent teacher conference in just a few minutes. So it's like all day today.
With
parent teacher conference.
this costume, I guess.
Absolutely, man. Come on. I just wish I could have gone to the office today, but I couldn't make it. So,
That looks good.
all right. See you guys later. Bye-bye.
Okay,
yeah,
bye.
yeah, since I'm using my own money to show up, I don't want to.
Since Sunny didn't respond, I'm thinking that she has it under control. Is my assumption. Since she
Yeah, I don't know what the setup looks like. It's like security guards at the door and won't let you in. I doubt that.
Yeah.
No, they're at the OSS Summit. There are actually people checking at the door, and if
wow.
you're not registered, you're not allowed in.
Yeah.
So that's why I'm hesitant, because if I show up and then I'm just standing outside, it's kind of negate the whole point of the trip.
So, and I believe that if you registered for the conference and if you actually tell Sunny that you want to be on the wait list, the chances are high that we'll all be let into the workshop. But you need to register for the conference first. So,
Oh yeah, that's what I'm saying. Registering for the conference will cost me personally $350,
Okay.
and airplane tickets and hotel room is. I'm looking at $1,500 just to go,
Correct.
and I don't want to commit to all that if I show up and I can't get into the workshop.
No, because we, myself, Bala, and Tal are in the same boat. We are waitlisted at this point of time, and the whole purpose is to come to the NEFIO conference. Is one of the 99.9% of our involvement is there.
Yep,
So
yep.
I am of the opinion that Sunny, when she responded, I think I added you as CC, you and Ravi there. That way, once you register, you can tell her that you need to be waitlisted as well. I am of the firm belief that we'll probably be able to get in. So.
Okay, I'll check with her again. Thank you, though.
Since she didn't respond to my thing, I have a feeling they got it under control. Is what I believe. But we'll see. Yeah. I wanted to say something, then I realized it's being recorded. So
We can stop the recording, right?
no, we can't. That's the thing. That's exactly what I asked Stephen.
Yeah, no, we can't.
Sorry.
I will register you as my emotional support assistant. So I'll require that you be in the room.
I am your emotional support dragon. Yeah, that's it.
That's the best. Yeah.
Okay.
Okay, guys, I'll drop off. Thank you.
Okay.
Okay.
Well,
Have a good
you.
one,
Thank you.
guys. Take care. Bye-bye.
Bye.
Bye. Bye.